What if the most accurate GPS for the human race was hidden in a 4,000-year-old list of names? We look at modern maps and see borders, but we forget that every border was once a footprint. Genesis 10 is often dismissed as a dry genealogy, but it is actually a passport of humanity, a biological map that codes our story from the peaks of Ararat to the very DNA in your veins today. This isn't just ancient ink, it's a global family tree. Forget myths, let's decode the origin of you. As the waters receded, the world stood at a silent crossroads. Mount Ararat was more than a landing place. It was the planet's ultimate reset button. For the family of Noah, the air was cold, the land was empty, but the future was immense. From this single point on the map, history began to branch into three distinct paths of destiny through the sons: Shem, Ham, and Japheth. But here, a profound question arises, one that often puzzles the modern mind. How could a single family, emerging from one ark, give rise to the breathtaking diversity of skin tones, features, and ethnicities we see across the globe today? To understand this, we must look at Noah not merely as a survivor, but as a vast biological gene bank. Within the genetic code of these three brothers lay a spectrum of latent traits, a blueprint of human variation already programmed into their DNA. In the centuries following the flood, as populations were later scattered and isolated by the events at Babel, these dormant genes began to express themselves. Under the scorching sun of the south, environmental adaptation emphasized the dark pigments in the lineage of Ham. In the frozen expanses of the north, the descendants of Japheth adapted to the pale light of the subarctic. What we perceive today as different races are not separate origins, but the beautiful refraction of a single light through a genetic prism. We are not different in our roots, we are simply different colors scattered from the same source. Japheth's legacy is often confined to the story of the West, the Greeks, the Medes, and the peoples of Europe. But the name Japheth carries the weight of expansion, and his destiny reached far beyond the shores of the Mediterranean. To truly understand the map of humanity, we must turn our gaze toward the rising sun, across the vast, untamed grasslands of Central Asia. As his descendants journeyed from the highlands of Ararat, a massive branch of this family pushed into the great Eurasian steppes. Through Magog, we find the roots of the legendary horse masters of the north, the Scythians, whose nomadic reach terrified the ancient world. But the journey did not end at the horizon. In that era of shifting climates, a land bridge likely stood where the Bering Sea now flows, a corridor of earth connecting the edge of Siberia to the Americas. Across this narrow path, the sons of Japheth marched into a pristine world, carrying the seeds of what would become the formidable empires of the Maya, the Inca, and the Aztecs. Simultaneously, other clans followed the winding rivers of the east, settling the fertile valleys of China and the distant archipelagos of the Pacific. Though the biblical record maintains its focus on the lands leading toward the promise of Abraham, the Table of Nations remains etched into the DNA of the Orient. From the nomadic riders of the Siberian plains to the builders of the pyramids of the sun in the west, the footprint of Japheth is a testament to an unprecedented migration. It reveals that the Far East was never a world apart, but a vital chapter in the story of a single family that dared to inhabit the ends of the earth. But as these tribes filled the earth, a haunting question remains. If we all shared the same grandfather, the same stories, and the same blood, why did we become strangers? Why did brothers turn into enemies? The answer lies at the plains of Shinar, at the base of a structure that would change our collective consciousness forever, the Tower of Babel. Babel was not merely a failure of engineering or a physical scattering, it was a psychological fracture. Before this moment, humanity shared a single heart because they shared a single tongue. But when the languages were confused, the very way we perceive reality was altered. Language is the lens through which we view the world. A descendant of Japheth in the frozen north developed words for snow and ice that a son of Ham in the sun-drenched desert could never truly grasp. This linguistic divide did something far more permanent than physical distance. It installed the software of prejudice. Suddenly, those who did not speak like us were no longer family, they were the other. The walls of Babel didn't just fall to the ground. They were rebuilt inside the human chest, creating a world where shared blood was no longer enough to overcome a different dialect. Over time, the family of Noah forgot they were one, as their new words built new barriers between the nations. Yet, even amidst the silence of fallen towers and forgotten tongues, a remarkable truth remained etched into the very map of our world. These ancient figures didn't just pass into legend, they became living fossils, linguistic fingerprints hidden in the names of the nations we know today. When we read of Mizraim, we are looking at the biblical soul of Egypt. Even now, across the Arab world, the land of the pyramids is still called Misr, a direct, unbroken echo of Noah's grandson. The son named Javan survives in the very identity of the Ionian Greeks, and the echoes of Ashur still resonate through the heart of ancient Assyria. This was a masterstroke of ancient coding. These fathers of civilization didn't record their history in books that rot or stone that crumbles. They whispered their names into the land itself. Every time you point to a map or name a country, you are unknowingly summoning the ghosts of Ararat. History has never truly left us. It's simply been waiting for us to recognize it in the words we speak every day. When we look at this ancient map, we must see it not as a collection of military borders, but as a torn family photograph scattered across the ages. The fierce rivalries that have defined our history, the clashes between the Philistines and Israel, or the rise of the Mesopotamian giants, were in truth domestic tragedies on a global scale. These warring peoples shared the same blood, the same memory of the Great Flood, and the same grandfather in Noah. Yet after Babel, we didn't just lose our common language, we lost our recognition of each other. Every war fought since then is essentially a civil war among brothers who have forgotten their names. To study the Table of Nations is to search for more than geopolitical data. It is to search for a reason to forgive. It is the first step toward realizing that the enemy across the border is merely a long-lost relative waiting to be found.